Wife's incredible reaction after husband's shocking 3-year deception was revealed, a life-changing moment. Sarah woke up every morning to the sound of her children's laughter mingling with the aroma of pancakes sizzling on the stove. As a dedicated mother, her days were meticulously choreographed: school drop-offs, work at the Maplewood Library, and endless whirlwinds of kids' soccer practices and PTA meetings. But beneath this vibrant routine, a storm brewed, one that would twist her perspective of family and trust forever. Lately, Sarah had felt an uneasy weight in her heart. The cheerful chaos at home seemed overshadowed by strange anomalies in their bank account. Bills were mounting, and each glance at the statements hit her like an unexpected punch to the gut. "Tom, have you seen this?" she questioned one night, helplessly hoping he would offer reassurance. Each month brought increasing debt, an unwelcome shadow creeping into their picture-perfect life. Tom, her steadfast rock, always had a smile that could light up a room. But Sarah noticed something flicker in his eyes, a hesitation that made her heart race with gnawing doubt. She'd battle the mystery like a knight, determined to unearth the truth behind the silence. The confrontation came to a head one fateful evening after she had dug deeper into their finances. "Tom, I need to know why our account is dwindling," she blurted, her voice trembling. The air felt thick with tension as he finally, with trembling lips and guilt-laden eyes, revealed the heart-wrenching truth: the collapse of his business 3 years ago. Her chest tightened, reality punching through her sense of security. How could he keep such a monumental burden hidden? The days that followed spiraled into chaos. At a community fundraiser meant to support local businesses, vibrant conversations swirled around them like a whirlwind. Sarah felt laughter bubble from friends as they mingled, yet the air felt charged with an unspoken fear. Then an acquaintance of Tom's spoke a slip of the tongue. "I remember when Tom had that thriving business," he exclaimed, the words echoing, carrying with them gasps of disbelief. In one careless moment, the thin thread holding Sarah's world together began to fray. Betrayal coursed through her veins like ice, leaving her reeling. Was Tom still the man she loved? Or was he a stranger who'd hidden the truth? As the community's eyes turned toward them, they stood on the precipice of a reality that altered everything. Loving a person means embracing both triumphs and failures. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In the hush that followed Tom's revelation, Sarah felt the silence carry the weight of their shared history. Could they rebuild their family, mending the aching rifts left by disappointment? As she gazed into Tom's eyes, searching for a shred of the man she knew, the question hung in the air. Can we still call this a family? Would love and loyalty stretch to bridge the chasm carved by unspoken secrets? Hope flickered like a candle in the storm, but Sarah's heart ached for assurance. The path ahead was uncertain, paved with challenges that loomed large, but the journey had only just begun. The moment hung between them, heavy and tense. Tom stepped forward, his expression a mixture of shame and longing. He lifted his hands as if to reach for Sarah, but held back, unsure if his touch would soothe or ignite further turmoil. The laughter from guests at the fundraiser faded, replaced by a stillness that amplified their unspoken fears. "I never wanted to hurt you," Tom whispered, his voice cracking. "I thought if I could just fix things, if I could manage it all without dragging you down, maybe I thought saving you from the truth would spare you the pain." Sarah shook her head slowly, fighting back tears. "But you didn't save me, Tom. You made it worse." The betrayal dripped from her words, each syllable punctuated by the memories of moments they had shared, moments that now felt tainted. She could picture the family vacations, the smiles and family photos, moments they had celebrated together under the illusion of stability. "Please," he pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. "I want to make it right. I will do anything." His eyes searched hers, a storm of regret and hope flickering amidst the chaos. "Anything," she shot back, her heart pounding now, but not from anger, rather, from a flickering spark of the love they once had. Why did you think I would be strong enough to handle this alone? It feels like you've carried this weight all by yourself while I was left in the dark. As the moment lingered, Sarah's mind raced through memories of laughter shared, dreams spoken together, and worries exchanged over quiet dinners. Each recollection was laced with a new layer of sorrow. How did they end up here, so lost? I'm sorry, Sarah. I was afraid of losing you, Tom admitted, his voice breaking under the emotion. I thought if you saw me struggling, you'd resent me. I didn't want to become the burden. Her heart softened, however reluctantly. She could see in the man she loved and the man who had faltered. But I would have shared that burden, Tom. We are a team. I wish you had trusted me enough to let me in. The silence stretched again, but this time, it felt less suffocating, as if their words had opened a small window for healing. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to gather her thoughts. I need time to process this. Our family, it's everything to me. Just then, a buzz from her phone broke the moment. It was a message from a friend, a group chat buzzing with the latest news about the fundraiser and their community. The sudden distraction made Sarah's heart trip. She quickly silenced the notification, wishing for a moment of peace amidst the noise. Let us go home, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. We need to talk without an audience. Tom nodded, his relief mingled with concern. They stepped out into the refreshing evening air. The cool breeze felt like a promise, a possibility of change if only they could find the courage to embrace it. As they drove home, the weight of unspoken words loomed large. Could they navigate this tumultuous sea together, or would they find themselves further adrift? And what would happen when the kids found out? In the midst of their silence, one undeniable truth lingered. Trust could be restored, but only through raw honesty and vulnerability. A leap of faith lay ahead, one that required them to confront their fears together. Would they take that leap, or allow the shadows of doubt to pull them apart? The car ride home felt like an eternity, the weight of unspoken words pressing down on both of them. Sarah glanced over at Tom, his hands gripping the steering wheel as if it was his only anchor in a storm. Their world seemed to shrink to this moment. This car, this fragile silence filled with 1,000 emotions swirling between them. As they pulled into their driveway, the familiar sight of their home brought back a mix of warmth and anxiety. This was their sanctuary, a place filled with laughter and family dinners, yet it felt more like a prison for their unresolved issues. Do you want me to drive? Tom asked, breaking the silence as they parked. He'd seen her resolve fading in the rearview mirror, and instinctively braced for what he could sense was coming. No, she replied, shaking her head. I need to do this. They stepped out, the cool evening air brushing against her skin, grounding her in a reality that suddenly felt daunting. She walked to their front door, taking a moment to collect herself before stepping into the familiar chaos of home. The warm glow from the kitchen felt inviting, yet it contrasted starkly with the turmoil within her. Mom, Dad. She heard their kids call as they bounded down the stairs, fresh from a movie night with popcorn still in hand. Their faces lit up with innocence, unaware of the storm brewing in their parents' hearts. Hey, guys, Tom smiled, but Sarah noticed the tightness around his mouth. Their moment was suspended, a delicate balance between normality and the inevitable truth that would soon shatter this fragile peace. Did you have fun? Sarah asked, forcing a smile that felt heavy on her lips. She wanted to shield her children from the fallout, if only for a while longer. Yeah, we watched that new animated movie. It was hilarious. One of the kids chimed in, and Sarah's heart twisted at the sound of their joy. She wished she could bottle that laughter and use it to heal the cracks forming in their family. Can we have ice cream? The other asked, looking hopeful. Sure, just a little, then it's bedtime, Tom replied, his voice cheerful yet strained. As the kids scampered off to the kitchen, Tom caught Sarah's eye. We need to talk, he said softly, the weight of those words hanging heavily between them. Yeah, she agreed, glancing back at their children. Time felt like it was slipping away, and she couldn't ignore the need for honesty any longer. They moved into the living room, and Sarah sat on the couch, hugging her knees while Tom settled into the armchair across from her. Despite the familiarity of their surroundings, this felt like uncharted territory. Are you really ready for this? Tom asked, his voice barely a whisper. I have to be. We have to be honest if we want to fix this. Her voice quivered, betraying the confidence she tried to muster. I never meant to hurt you, Sarah. Tom, She interrupted, her heart racing. I need to hear everything. No more hiding. No more secrets. I can't be in the dark anymore. He closed his eyes for a moment, the weight of guilt pressing down on him. When he opened them, it was as if a decision had crystallized within. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Just as he began, the joyful sound of the kids echoing in the kitchen became a backdrop to their tension, a reminder of what was at stake. Sarah felt an urgency rising within her. They were balancing on a tightrope suspended above a chasm that could swallow their family whole. As Tom took a deep breath, ready to plunge into a revelation that would change everything, a sudden crash came from the kitchen. The sound shattered the moment, jolting them both to their feet. Mom! Dad! One of the kids yelled, panic lacing their voice. Sarah's heart raced again as dread flooded her senses. What happened? She shouted, rushing to the doorway. Was it just clumsiness, or did it signal something deeper? As she turned the corner, one thought gnawed at her. Could their evening of confronting the truth be derailed before it even started? The kitchen was a whirl of chaos. The kids stood frozen, wide-eyed, surrounded by broken pieces of what used to be their cherished ice cream dish. A spilled carton of half-melted vanilla pooled around their feet, like a hasty reminder of the joyful evening. Are you okay? Sarah rushed in, her heart pounding. She knelt down, reaching for the shards of glass on the floor. I'm sorry, Mom. The youngest cried, tears welling in his eyes, both terrified and confused. It's okay, she reassured, her voice softer than it felt. She looked up to see Tom behind her, his expression torn between the chaos and the weight of what they had to face, still very much unresolved. Just stay back a minute, Tom instructed gently, ushering the kids away from the glass. He picked up his son, holding him close, whispering comforts that made Sarah's insides twist. Where was the comfort for her right now? Once the children were safely distracted by the promise of fresh ice cream from a different container, this time Sarah and Tom found themselves standing in the remnants of the emotional storm that had interrupted them. Looks like the conversation can wait, Tom said, forcing a chuckle that didn't reach his eyes. Can it? Sarah replied, her voice sharp. The tension bubbled again, just below the surface. She wished she had kept her focus instead of careening into the chaos of motherhood. There was so much more to address than broken dishes. Tom looked at her, and for the first time that evening, his gaze held a resignation that scared her. Maybe it shouldn't, he said quietly. Tom, we can't keep skirting the issue. If we keep avoiding it, nothing's ever going to change, she urged, her heart racing again at the thought of extending this agony. The words felt heavy on her tongue, like a boulder she struggled to push uphill. I know. He hesitated, looking down, weighing the gravity of what he had to say. What I need to tell you isn't easy. I thought I could find a way around it, but the sound of distant laughter from the kitchen, their children blissfully unaware, pulled at Sarah. It wrapped her in both warmth and frustration. They deserved a functional family. They didn't deserve to live under the same roof with festering secrets. They'll sense it, you know. Kids know when something's off, she said quietly, her voice softening. Perhaps it was her attempt to lower the stakes, to ease the burden of truth that had been honed too sharp. Then let us not wait, Tom said suddenly, steeling himself. I just need to say it's about the last 3 years. I've been lying to you, Sarah. I let you believe that everything was fine, and it wasn't. Her pulse quickened. What do you mean? I was trying to navigate my own chaos, and I thought I was protecting you. The truth, his voice faltered as if the words were stuck, battling to escape him. The truth is, I have made some choices that changed everything. I thought keeping them from you would help, but they only made things worse. Choices? She echoed, feeling a hollow pit forming in her stomach. Tom's eyes were filled with pain as he continued. I've been seeing someone else. The air crackled with silence, each word hanging heavily between them. Sarah felt her heart stop for a beat, fear anchoring her feet to the ground, as if she might float away from the revelation. All thoughts of ice cream, broken dishes, and happy moments swirled into a blurriness that felt unreal. How long? She finally asked, her voice a whisper lost between them. Tom hesitated, and the silence stretched. For almost 3 years. Stunned, Sarah shook her head, rage and sorrow colliding inside her. She felt as if the world around her was closing in, trapping her in a nightmare from which she couldn't wake. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She demanded, arms wrapping tight around herself as if to shield from the impending storm, even though the tempest raged within. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could find a way back to you without breaking us apart, but what she didn't expect was how those words would send a crack through the illusion of safety they built. In that moment, Sarah realized they were standing on the brink of something irreversible. As the echoes of laughter flowed from the kitchen, Sarah contemplated the choices laid before her. How would she respond to his betrayal? Would she turn away in pain, or face the storm head-on? "Just give me a minute," she whispered, stepping back from the edge as a new question loomed large, one that could change everything. Was their love strong enough to weather this tempest? Sarah's heart raced as she stepped back, the air thick with unvoiced emotions. For a moment, she felt as if she were watching a movie, not quite believing she was the one experiencing this unraveling. The laughter from the kitchen faded into a distant hum, barely reaching her ears as she tried to process Tom's revelation. 3 years. 3 long years spent living a lie. The betrayal churned in her stomach like a heavy stone. Unable to stand still, she began pacing, her mind racing through memories, the birthdays, the quiet evenings, the love they had felt so solid, now crashing under the weight of his secret. Seeing her move, Tom reached out as if to console her, but she stepped back. His touch felt electric, a reminder of a bond now frayed beyond recognition. "No," she exclaimed, gripping the edge of the countertop as if it could anchor her. I can't do this just yet." "You asked for honesty, Sarah," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You deserve to know the truth. I thought we had a life built on trust." She shot back, her eyes narrowing in anger. "How could you keep this from me? From us?" Each question was like a dart, aimed to pierce the distance that had grown between them. "I didn't want to hurt you," Tom pleaded, a flicker of desperation in his eyes. "I thought if I held on just a bit longer, I could figure it out, make it right." "Make it right?" she echoed incredulously. "By lying to me for years? By pretending everything was okay while you were with someone else?" The hurt burned hotter than anger, bubbling up like rising water, threatening to spill over. Tom sighed, his shoulders sagging under the weight of it all. "I know I failed you. Every day I lived with that guilt. I didn't mean for it to go this far, for this to happen 3 years. She interrupted, her voice cracking. "You slept next to me. You laughed with me. You acted like I was the only one." Tears brimmed in her eyes, a mix of disbelief and betrayal cascading through her. "I never meant to love her," he said, his voice breaking. "It was never about you or your worth. I was struggling, and I just made a terrible, terrible choice." With a heavy sigh, she turned away, pacing again, wrestling with her swirling thoughts. The kids were still blissfully unaware, just steps away, their innocence shielded from this shocking reality. If only they knew how fragile their family dynamic really was. Sarah Tom's voice followed her, hesitant yet pleading. "I can't hear you right now, Tom," she replied, shaking her head, trying to smother all the emotions rising in her. "I need to think." The silence expanded between them once more. Her thoughts raced while she drifted in and out of memories, from mundane breakfasts to tender moments she would never see the same way again. Could she ever look at him the same again? Could they perhaps find a way through this mess? Eventually, she paused, looking at him, really looking at him. Beneath that pained exterior was a man she once loved fiercely. Could that man still be there? "I don't know how to move forward," she finally admitted, her voice softer, filled with uncertainty. "We can figure this out together," he urged. "If you'll give me a chance." But was there a chance left to give? She closed her eyes, letting the question swirl again. Would confronting this pain pave a way forward? "Just one question," she said, her voice steady as realization washed over her like cold water. "What will happen if I can't forgive you?" Tom's gaze dropped, the weight of her question hanging heavily in the air. A minute stretched as he considered his answer, and in that moment, it felt like the ground shifted beneath them. "I don't know," he admitted quietly, fear creeping into his admission. The truth hung uncomfortably. Their love was now tethered to an uncertainty that felt immense. As the chaos of their family life loomed just beyond the kitchen door, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at a crossroads, one path leading to painful confrontation, the other possibly to healing. Which would she choose? "Maybe this break between us is necessary," Sarah whispered more to herself than him, uncertainty creeping back into her heart. Tom's expression darkened. But are you willing to walk it? And for the first time, doubt clouded her heart as a new wave of emotion washed over her. What was she really prepared to sacrifice for honesty? Maybe time will tell, she replied, the uncertainty lingering in the air like a ghost, leaving the door ajar for what was to come. Sarah stood frozen, the walls of their familiar kitchen closing in on her. An unseen weight pressed against her chest, and all she could hear was her own heartbeat echoing in the silence. She wanted to scream, to run, to let out the whirlwind of emotions trapped inside her. The whisper of the kids' laughter filtered through the doorway, blissfully unaware of the storm raging behind their parents' facade. "How could you be so selfish?" she finally said, her voice low but steady, a quiet intensity simmering below the surface. "Did you even think about how this would affect us? Our family?" Tom ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration laced with regret. "I know you're hurt, Sarah. I know I messed up. But I need you to understand I was scared. I thought I could handle it on my own." "Scared?" she echoed, incredulous. "Scared of what? Losing me? Because that's exactly what you did. And for what? A lie?" His silence was deafening, and Sarah felt a wave of nausea wash over her. What had started as love had turned sour, twisting into betrayal. They had stood side by side through so much, and now here they were, stranded in the wreckage of their relationship, each piece cutting deeper than the last. "Maybe I wanted to protect you from my mess," he said finally, his eyes pleading, searching for something understanding, perhaps. "But I see now how that only made things worse. I should have put you first." "No, Tom. You put yourself first. You chose the easy way out, avoidance over honesty," she said, her emotions threatening to spill over once more. "It's too late for that now." Tom stepped closer, but she raised a hand to stop him. "Don't, please. I don't want to feel more trapped than I already do." He looked down, the shadows of regret deepening in his expression. She could almost see the words he wanted to say stretching between them, but they remained unspoken, like ghosts haunting the air. "What do you want to do now?" he finally asked, his voice trembling slightly. Sarah's gaze softened as a wave of conflicting emotions surged through her. Part of her wanted to yell, to lash out at the injustice of it all. Another part ached for the husband she once knew, the friend she trusted. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "You have every right to be angry," he said, his face lined with anguish. "You can scream at me, cry, it's okay. I deserve it. I'll take it all. Whatever you need to do." She took a deep breath. "I think I need space. I can't think straight right now." He recoiled slightly, as if her words were physical blows. "Space." His voice cracked, exposing the chasm of fear that crept into his heart, the realization that this might fracture their family beyond repair. "Yes," she replied, her resolve softening. "I think time apart might give me a clearer view of everything, maybe help me decide what I want." As she stepped away from the countertop, the reality of her decision sunk deep within her. Leaving things unresolved felt like a weight she could hardly bear. She wanted clarity but feared the repercussions of her choices. "Just know I'm willing to be here when you're ready to talk," Tom said, his voice thick with emotion as he watched her retreat. "Maybe we both need to figure out who we are now," Sarah said as she looked back, her heart aching. But how could they find their way back to each other when the landscape had changed so entirely? The door to the next room swung open and the kids poured in, their innocence a stark contrast to the dark cloud hovering between their parents. They knew nothing of the tempest unleashed in the kitchen, blissfully unaffected. "Mom, Dad, what's for dinner?" One of the children chirped, the brightness of their voice making Sarah's heart clench in that moment. She realized the impact of this revelation extended far beyond just her and Tom. Their family was about to be reshaped, and she couldn't shake the feeling of impending changes. "What will we tell them?" she asked, her voice faint, barely holding back the storm of emotions. The kids stood there, waiting expectantly, their faces lit with smiles, a reminder that amidst all the chaos, they still had to navigate this family life, remnants of love tied to laughter. "I don't know yet," Tom admitted, his gaze falling to the floor, the weight of responsibility mingling with guilt. "No one should have to walk through this blind," she said quietly, a hollow pit forming in her stomach. As they exchanged glances filled with the weight of unspoken truths, Sarah felt the shifting sands of their future closing in around them. Would they find a way to weather this storm together, or was this the beginning of their drift apart? And as she turned her gaze back to the laughter echoing from the living room, she couldn't help but wonder what it would take to forgive him, and if forgiveness was even possible. Sarah felt the tension simmering just beneath the surface, an unyielding knot in her stomach as the laughter of her children echoed through the house. Each giggle, each cheerful call was like a dagger, reminding her of the innocence that had somehow become entangled in their crumbling reality. "Mom, can I have pizza again?" one of them shouted, breaking through her thoughts. A part of her craved the simplicity of those carefree moments, yet the weight of everything made her want to cry. "Maybe we should have rice and beans instead," Tom suggested, any semblance of joy ripped from his face. His eyes darted to Sarah, seeking her approval, but she found his gaze hard to meet. The kids exchanged puzzled looks, sensing the change in the air, but they were still untouched by the severity of the situation. "I'll just whip something up," she said quickly, forcing the smile that felt foreign on her lips. The children would need a routine, some normalcy amidst the turmoil. As Sarah moved towards the kitchen, the clatter of pots and pans somehow helped to soothe her. It was a distraction, a chance to breathe without the heavy conversation tainting her thoughts. But each clink echoed the tension still hanging thick in the air, a stark reminder of what lay buried between them. She felt Tom's presence right behind her, a shadow that had once provided comfort but now brought only sadness. "I can help," he offered, stepping into her space and reaching for a spatula. "No," she said, sharper than she meant. "I just want to be alone right now." The words flew out before she could reel them in, and she hated the moment they left her lips. "Okay," he said softly, stepping back as if her words were a burning flame he had to dodge. She could see he was hurt, his shoulders slumping as he returned to the other room, leaving her to wrestle with everything alone. Her heart sank further when she glanced out of the kitchen window. The sky was darkening, thick clouds rolling in. A storm was brewing as if nature itself was reflecting the chaos within her. She took a moment to steady herself, inhaling the scent of the food and letting that familiar, homey feeling wash over her. "Mom, what are we having?" One of the kids piped up again, rushing into the room with a hopeful grin, the innocence written all over his face, so different from the worry etched into Sarah's heart. "Pizza," she replied, managing a brighter tone now. "Just a simple pepperoni, your favorite." "Yay," he cheered, and in that moment, she felt a flicker of warmth, a reminder of what family truly meant. But just as quickly, the reality of their situation loomed over her. Could she really continue this charade, pretending everything was all right while her heart was broken? What would happen when the truth finally came crashing down on her children? "Mom, where's Dad?" the other child asked, curiosity gleaming in her eyes. "In the living room, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her voice steady but her heart trembling. "He'll come join us soon." "Okay." The child skipped back out, her laughter trailing like a faint melody, echoing off the walls that now felt more like a cage. As Sarah finished meal preparations, her gaze drifted back to Tom, who stood apart from the table, his head downcast as he fiddled with his phone. What was happening between them? Was there still a path back to the bond they once shared? She felt a spark of hope, but it was quickly extinguished by the memories of hurt and betrayal. The doorbell rang, breaking her thoughts and the tension in the room. She turned her head, wondering who it could be, her mind racing through the possibilities. "I'll get it," Tom called, his voice cutting through her swirling thoughts. He moved to answer, and in that moment, a knot of dread tightened in Sarah's chest. When he opened the door, she felt a chill run down her spine. It could be anyone, a friend, a neighbor, or worse, a reminder of the deception clinging to them. Behind the door stood a figure, shrouded in uncertainty. Who could it be, and what would it mean for them? With her heart racing, Sarah couldn't help but feel that this moment would reshape their reality yet again. The figure at the door shifted, taking a step forward. It was Mark, Tom's younger brother. The surprise on his face mirrored the tension that hung heavily in the air. "Hey, Sarah," he said, his voice unsure. "Can I come in?" She nodded, though her pulse was pounding in her ears. The unexpected visitor brought a rush of memories, a flashback to family gatherings where laughter filled the rooms and love felt abundant. Mark entered, oblivious to the storm brewing behind Sarah's eyes. "Where's Tom?" Mark asked, glancing around the room. "I wanted to talk to him about something." "He's busy," she replied, her voice shaky. Instinctively, she glanced back at Tom, who remained in the living room, still engrossed in his phone. A part of her wanted to tell Mark to leave, to delay whatever conversation had brought him here. But another felt drawn to this moment, as if it might help diffuse the tension or at least provide a distraction. Mark shifted his weight from one foot to the other, his smile dimming. "You okay? You don't look so great." "Yeah, just a lot on my mind," she managed, struggling to keep the conversation light while her heart ached. "Is it the kids? I can take them out for ice cream later. Give you a break," he offered. Sarah smiled faintly at the thought. Just last week, Mark had taken the kids to the park, and for those few hours, she had almost forgotten her worries. "That would be nice," she said. "What is going on with you and Tom?" Mark suddenly pressed, his eyes serious. "You guys seem off." Sarah hesitated, the lump in her throat growing heavier. She had no idea how to put it into words, or if she even wanted to unload the weight. "It's complicated," she finally replied, her voice just above a whisper. "Want to talk about it?" he asked, leaning closer, genuinely concerned. Before she could answer, Tom stepped into the kitchen. "Mark, I didn't know you were here." The tension between Tom and Mark crackled like electricity. "Yeah, I just thought I'd check in." "Sarah said you were busy," Mark added, though his eyes darted between Tom and Sarah, sensing something was wrong. "Just helping with dinner," Sarah said, forcing her emotions out of the depth they had sunk into. "Pizza. Nice," Mark said in an attempt to lighten the mood. "You know, we could have a pizza night. Get the kids involved." But Tom's expression was darkening. "I think they need a more stable routine, don't you?" The air thickened, each word feeling loaded. Sarah felt her heart race, torn between supporting Tom's need for stability and the relief of opening up to Mark. She wanted to scream, to tell him the truth, but the fear of unraveling everything held her back. Mark sighed, clearly picking up on the tension. "I'll, take off then. Just wanted to see how everything was going." "Wait," Tom said suddenly, his voice sharper than intended. "Are you sure you want to go?" Mark paused, glancing back at Sarah. "No, it's fine. I think I should give you guys some space." As the door clicked shut behind Mark, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness envelop her. The familiar sounds of the kids laughing faded into the background, leaving only the echo of unresolved feelings between her and Tom. Tom shifted uncomfortably, his eyes reflecting uncertainty. "I didn't mean to snap at him." "You didn't," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Suddenly, she recognized the moment for what it was. Standing there, the reality of their situation unfurling before her, it struck her that nothing would truly change without a conversation, without honesty. "Tom," she started, but the words felt stuck. He looked at her, confusion and hurt mingling in his expression. "What is it, Sarah?" With the storm outside finally releasing its first drop, the air shifted, laden with the promise of change. "We need to talk about everything," and as the rain began to fall harder, the truth loomed over them like a dark cloud ready to burst. Would they face it together, or was this where everything would begin to unravel? As the last words hung in the air, Sarah took a deep breath, bracing herself for the inevitable fallout. Thunder echoed in the distance, punctuating her moment of hesitation as she searched Tom's eyes for a sign, any sign, that he might be ready to face the truth with her. "Talk about what?" he asked, his voice laced with defensiveness. Her heart raced. "About us. About everything that's been happening between us." Tom ran a hand through his tousled hair, the weight of her words visibly sinking in. "I don't even know what to say. Things have been tough. I thought if I just kept my head down and focused on work, we could what? Pretend?" Sarah asked, bitterness creeping into her voice. "That we're okay? That everything will just fix itself?" "It's not that simple, Sarah." His voice rose, echoing through the kitchen. "I've been trying my best. I thought you understood that." She swallowed hard, feeling the familiar sting of tears. "You think I don't understand? I'm just tired of feeling like I'm talking to a wall." Tom looked away, his expression pained. "You're right. I've been avoiding this. But I didn't want to pull you down with me. I thought it would just pass." "Pass?" Sarah shook her head, her voice trembling. "The kids notice, Tom. They know when we fight. They feel the tension. You think we can pass this off like it doesn't matter?" He flinched at her words, guilt flickering across his face. I don't want to hurt them or you. The rain began to beat heavily against the window, drowning out their anger, but amplifying the tension between them. Then let us stop pretending. Okay, he relented, arms crossed tightly over his chest. So what? What do we do now? I don't know. But if we're going to fix this, we have to be honest. About everything. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the rhythmic pounding of raindrops. It felt as if the world outside had slowed, leaving only the two of them standing on the precipice of a conversation that could change everything. Fine, Tom said finally, tension relaxing just a bit in his shoulders. Then let us start now. What do you want to know? Why did you pull away? She asked, voice softer now. Why did it feel like you were fading even when you were right here? Tom hesitated, his gaze darting to the children's drawings on the fridge. I didn't want to drag you down with my issues. My job has been consuming me, and I thought if I could just get through this rough patch, everything would be fine. But we're not fine, Tom. Her voice quivered. And I'm tired of waiting for everything to get better. I need you. I need us. His eyes softened slightly, an unspoken understanding passing between them. I don't know if I can fix everything, but I want to try, Sarah. I really do. Trying is all I can ask for, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. But it's going to take more than just words. He nodded, slowly stepping closer. So, where do we begin? The question hung heavy. Both felt the weight of it pressing down as they stood in the dim light of the kitchen, rain still pouring outside. All the unspoken hope, all the potential for rebuilding seemed to blanket them in that moment. But just as Sarah began to form a response, the sharp ring of her phone shattered the heavy atmosphere, startling them both. Who could that be? Tom asked, irritation creeping back into his tone. Looking down at the screen, Sarah's heart sank at the name displayed. It was Mark. Should I answer? She asked, torn between the conversation they were finally having and the uncertainty Mark's call might bring. Tom's expression hardened as he crossed his arms again, concern etching deeper lines on his forehead. Maybe it's best to let him wait. But Sarah felt something tugging at her, an instinct that perhaps this could lead to more truths being revealed. I think I need to take this, she said, her pulse quickening as she swiped to answer. The call connected. She felt Tom's eyes on her, a mixture of hurt and apprehension radiating between them. What if this call changed everything? Hey, Mark, and as she listened, the weight of their unresolved issues lingered, ready to topple over at any moment. Would this call thrust them into a new conflict, or might it just be the thing they needed to patch the fraying edges of their lives? Sarah, I need to talk to you about Tom. Mark's voice came through the phone, urgency lacing each word. Her heart sank. What did he know? He's busy right now, she replied, glancing at Tom, whose expression had turned stormy once more. The distance between them felt as if it were expanding again, strangling the hope they had just begun to kindle. Sarah, this is important. Please, can you come outside? Mark urged. Why? She asked, concern threading through her voice. What could be so critical that it required this level of secrecy? I can't explain over the phone. Just trust me, okay? As she flicked her gaze to Tom, she saw the lines of frustration crinkling his brow, boiling under the surface. I have to go. Just give me a moment, she whispered, almost begging for understanding. Tom nodded slowly, yet the tension between them was palpable as she stepped outside. The dark clouds loomed above, as if they, too, sensed the weight of impending revelations. What's going on? Sarah asked, feeling the air turn damp and heavy. Mark took a breath, his voice lowering. I've seen Tom around, with someone, and I think you need to know. Her heart dropped. Another blow. What do you mean? He has not just been busy with work, Sarah. He has been spending time with someone else, someone from his past. I didn't want to believe it either, but the air felt thick, pressing against her chest. Are you sure? Yes. I wish I wasn't. I know this is hard, but you deserve the truth. You need to hear it from someone. In that moment, as the rain began to pour heavily, Sarah felt her world tilt again. Was he truly still deceiving her? The love they had felt so full of vibrant colors now dripped away like the rain cascading from the sky. Just as she was about to respond, the door opened behind her, and Tom stepped out, worry painted across his face. What is going on? He asked, eyes darting between Sarah and Mark. Feeling the familiar pang of betrayal, Sarah turned to Tom, something unyielding settling in her chest. Mark just told me about you hiding someone else in your life. Tom's eyes widened, a glimmer of panic flashing across his expression. No, you don't understand. Understand what, Tom? That you chose to keep this from me again? Her voice rose with each word, the hurt spilling out. It feels like everything is a lie. Please, he pleaded, stepping closer but faltering at the sight of her hardened expression. It's not how it sounds. I needed to sort things out. It was complicated? You think that's an excuse? As anger bubbled to the surface, Sarah shook her head, betrayal roaring like a storm in her heart. You kept me in the dark while pretending everything was fine. Sarah, I've been scared about our family. My choices, I thought they'd lead me back to you without hurting you, Tom explained, desperation in his tone. Back to me, she echoed, disillusionment running deep. You've caused more pain with your lies. There's no way to go back if you keep pulling stunts like this. As the rain pounded on them, Sarah could see Mark holding back his expression, a mix of concern and a hope that they might salvage this moment together. But her heart was heavy, and she didn't know how to bridge this chasm of hurt. Maybe all of this is more than I can handle, she whispered, battling tears that Tom's shoulders drooped, the fight leaving him. I don't want to lose you, Sarah. I need to be better. For you, for our kids. The sincerity in his voice tugged at her heart, yet she felt the weight of his revelations crushing down on her. And I need to feel like I can trust you again. I can't do this on my own. As silence cloaked them, the world felt suspended. The rain began to dissipate, providing a brief serenity amidst the chaos. That's it, isn't it? Mark finally interjected, gentle but firm. You need to decide if you want to face this together for the kids, for your family, or if this is how your story ends. Tom's eyes filled with tears, a combination of remorse and pleading. Please, Sarah, give us a chance. We can work through this. The moment hung between them, like a fragile thread, one that could snap or strengthen, depending on her decision. Taking a shuddering breath, she replied, I need time. I can't rush into this, but I want to pretend everything is okay anymore. Tom nodded, understanding, pain coating his features. They stood there at a crossroads facing the storm, but for the first time, their hands were no longer tied behind their backs. Each had a choice now, to step forward in hope or retreat into the shadows. As they stepped back into the house, the echoes of laughter resonated in the air, a reminder of what they stood to protect. The children were still oblivious, blissfully safe in their little world, unaware of the shifting tides just beyond their reach. Let us focus on them for now, Sarah said softly as they entered, determination blooming in her heart. And take the time we need to figure this out together. And with that, something shifted, an acknowledgement of mutual strength budding amid vulnerability. Together, but apart for now, they would work towards the healing they so desperately needed. This is where their story began, a new one marked by truth, honesty, and a commitment that would ask for much but offer hope like never before. Now it was time for them to face whatever came next, together. In that moment, Sarah felt her heart begin to mend, ready to embrace the unpredictable journey ahead. And if you're feeling the strength in this story, don't let it slip away. Subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and transform. Leave a like to feed the algorithm. We need your support. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. A true fan knows the importance of spreading hope. Don't wait, not even one more second.